relationship care coach. Um, and a conversation that I came across with one of my clients today was about childhood. And it was really interesting having this conversation with this individual because they're an elder and they're reflecting upon uh, close to 80 years of life, being a parent, an older sibling, having helped support and raise other people's children, etc. And so there were some interesting notes from this conversation that I wanted to talk about today. But before I dive into it, please feel free to hit the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. It really does help out the channel, and I appreciate all the love and support in that regard. You know, one of the things that came up in the conversation was how he experienced being an older sibling that was responsible for so many younger siblings. And in the process of it, felt like he had missed out on some childhood opportunities or the opportunity to just be the child that he wanted to be. But it was interesting that as he was speaking, I began to be curious about what his expectation was of what a childhood was supposed to be. And one of the topics that came up was what is referred to as the Peter Pan syndrome. The Peter Pan syndrome. It is a Hollywood Disney rendition of what people perceive childhood to be. And many times, the movie Peter Pan has set a precedent or a cultural normalcy of the outlook of childhood. Now, embedded within that story of Peter Pan, you have a lot of interesting philosophical concepts that are broken down into media form, into a movie that can be easily ingested. But if we're not careful, we can internalize it and believe that that's normal. One of the things that was discussed was individualism, that a child should just be allowed to be a kid, a kid with minimal to little responsibility and little responsibility to their social surroundings, to their peers, to their siblings, to their families, and that the point of their life was to live out as much of it carefree without any ties or strings that require of them any type of sacrifice or any type of responsibility to their surroundings. Now, there's many other concepts throughout the movie Peter Pan, but this one is one that was significant for our conversation within this session because their projected experience was that they lost something from their childhood in that. And without negating that experience, one of the things that we explored was one, what were some of the potential benefits in terms of their growth and maturation in having responsibility at a young age. Now, for me, in my learning and my training as I have a master's in counseling psychology and marriage and family therapy, right? You learn about childhood, you learn about the stages of development and different things that support children with their growth. And one of the things that is really important for children is to actually have responsibility at a young age. Now, of course, it should be scaled according to what they are prepared for and have the support in, but responsibility is extremely important for children. Children who do not have responsibility at a young age grow up to an extent disconnected, feeling a lack of a sense of agency, um, have trouble with working collaboratively with others, and navigating conflict in their attempts to. Now, there's many more lessons that you learn when you have responsibility at a young age, but it's to say that in balancing out the stories that we tell ourselves about our life, it's important that we open ourselves up to different perspectives. And many times in sessions with individuals, what I have the benefit and opportunity to do is to discuss other perspectives that could potentially broaden or widen how someone sees themselves, how someone tells the story of what they experienced growing up. And in doing so, potentially come away with a different narrative or ways in which they want to proceed to move forward in their life. Now, I always say that the reason why it's so important to interrogate these narratives is because sometimes we will create an idea of our life at the age of 10 and we'll stick with it into our 20s, our 30s, our 40s. One of the commonplace ones for older siblings who have responsibility of caring for the younger siblings is, I don't want to have kids because I'm not going to have the life I want to live, right? Now, of course, you can point to many individuals who are parents of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8+ children who have fantastic lives, who go on to get degrees, travel the world, experience all sorts of amazing things. But if your experience as a child was feeling limited, constrained, a lack of support, stressed out, and attempting to support your parents in watching your younger siblings or caring for them, you might believe this is all there is to your life if you were to be in this situation again. And so you resist an adult experience based upon a childhood perspective. And so this is many times where the work is within these sessions. It's interrogating the narratives that you came away with at a young age, so that you can begin to broaden your perspective of your potential in your life as you get older. Now, in this conversation, we didn't just talk about Peter Pan, right? We didn't just talk about this kind of cultural phenomena that children's proposed lives are to be without responsibility, to be without a sense of interconnectedness with their families, with their siblings, with their communities and peers, etc. But we also talked about one of my favorite books, and you'll hear me talk about it often on this channel, is The Spirit of Intimacy, uh, Ancient African Teachings in the Ways of Relationships and Intimacy by Saban-Fu Somé. I'll probably post it in the description box below after I post this video. But it's to say that one of the things that she talks about is that within her cultural village society, community, they believe that children were ancestors who choose to return to support their families and communities, bringing gifts and perspective to help lead them into the future. Now, here's an interesting thing about potentially playing with that framework, is that it begins to level the hierarchy within family systems. For this culture, they believed that children were ancestors who were arriving to bring them something unique, something special, to help empower their families, their communities, to move forward into the future. So they believe that children have a natural sense of knowing and understanding about their world. They also believe that they have something specific and unique to contribute to their families and communities that is to their benefit. But here's the last part that's kind of special about that way of thinking, is that it also understands that if somebody is coming to bring you something for the future, more than likely they're going to bring you something that doesn't make sense in the present. I want to say that again. If someone is coming into your life to bring you something to benefit you in the future, it likely does not make sense in the present, because they are set up with understandings and perspectives that are meant for 10, 20, sometimes 30 or 40 years from now, not necessarily the present moment. And so for their community, they perceive their responsibility as creating space for these ancestors, for their children, to grow in this world, to be able to bring them what they were here to bring. Now, how does this impact how we view our childhoods? Many times it begins to redirect how we navigate or perceive one another, perceive ourselves, perceive our parents, perceive our younger siblings. That our differences amongst us many times may have more to do with our unique makeup and what we are meant to bring into this world. Not necessarily this idea of a uniformity in terms of how we're all supposed to show up, how we're all supposed to perceive things and desire to do things, right? Not all of your children are supposed to become lawyers and doctors and engineers. Not all of your children are supposed to just agree with everything that you say and think just because it worked for you in your childhood or it made sense in your time. That was sometimes 18, 25, 35 years ago. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for your child today. And even if you're an older sibling, just because something was important for you at their age doesn't necessarily mean it was important for them. You see, when we change our perspective and recognize that each of us has something unique to offer, we begin to recognize the need to expand ourselves to make space for each of us. that there's an opportunity to expand ourselves, to make room and space for a difference of opinion, a different perspective, a different way of navigating the world around us. And that many times is what adds to our lives. It teaches us that there's more than just our singular perspective, that there's more to how we're navigating or viewing our world than just the way that we've learned to. And as a result, many times creates new opportunities that we didn't have before. Now, just to kind of wrap all of this up, some simple steps that we can do as parents or older siblings or caretakers is when we feel a disconnect, when we feel someone is challenging us, when we feel that our children are presenting a very different way of navigating or dealing with their reality than our own, instead of attempting to impose or force our way onto our children. Now, granted, this does not include basic safety, right? Crossing the street, look both ways. You got to do that, right? It's important. You got to teach our children that, right? Make sure you chew your food before swallowing so you don't choke. Okay. But the majority of life is not black and white like that. The majority of our lives and our children's lives are going to be in the gray. And so when we tell our children, hey, you know what? You're supposed to do this. You should want this. You should desire this. You should pursue this. This is what success looks like. This is what it means to be valued or important. We need to hold space that as much as we have been informed by our experience, that it is not the absolute experience. It is not the entire experience. And when our children begin to challenge our way of seeing ourselves and the world around us, many times that is specifically what they are here to do. It is actually for our benefit. It's growing us. It's expanding us. And so as your children begin to challenge you, I would encourage you to be conscious of the thoughts and the narratives that pop up of what your child is supposed to do, needs to do, right? What is right and wrong about how they are navigating their environment. And begin to make space for their unique individuality, because it might be something that can be a blessing to you in your world. I'm going to leave it there for today. My name is Ross. Once again, I am a family relationship care coach. If you enjoyed this video or something was said that was, sparks a thought, I would hope that you would hit the like button, maybe subscribe, and definitely leave a comment so we can keep the conversation going. With that, you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you.